I stood there in the pouring rain, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest, as Clara looked up at me with those eyes that had haunted my dreams for years. Her lips parted, and she whispered, "Alex, after everything we've been through, will you marry me?" The world seemed to freeze, the raindrops suspended in mid-air, and I felt my breath catch. But just as I opened my mouth to respond, a shadow fell over us. Ben, my best friend, her brother, stepping out from the darkness with a look of betrayal that could shatter stone. What was he doing here? How had it come to this? Let me take you back to where it all started, because love doesn't just happen, it builds, layer by layer, from the heart outward. It was a crisp autumn afternoon in our small college town, the kind where the leaves crunch underfoot and the air smells like possibility. I was 21, juggling classes in computer science and a part-time job at the local coffee shop, trying to figure out who I was beyond the guy who always had a joke ready. My best friend, Ben, had been my rock since high school. We met in detention, him for pranking the principal, me for hacking the school's Wi-Fi to stream movies during lunch. From that day on, we were inseparable, brothers in all but blood. Ben was the outgoing one, the life of every party, with a laugh that could fill a room. Me? I was quieter, more introspective, the one who listened and observed. Ben's family was like my second home. His parents treated me like their own, especially after my folks moved across the country for Dad's job. And then there was Clara, Ben's younger sister by 2 years. She was 19 back then, a freshman studying art, with long wavy hair that caught the light like spun gold and a smile that could light up the darkest day. But to me, she was always just Ben's little sis. Off limits, untouchable. I'd seen her grow up from the awkward kid with braces to this vibrant young woman who painted murals on abandoned walls and volunteered at the animal shelter. We bantered sometimes, shared laughs over family dinners, but nothing more. At least, that's what I told myself. One evening, after a brutal exam week, Ben dragged me to his house for a chill night. His parents were out of town, so it was just the three of us ordering pizza and binge-watching old movies. Clara was there, sketching in her notebook on the couch, her feet tucked under her. As the night wore on, Ben crashed early, leaving Clara and me alone in the dimly lit living room. The movie ended, and in that quiet moment, she turned to me, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Hey, Alex," she said casually, like it was no big deal. "Wanna go out with me?" I froze, pizza slice halfway to my mouth. My mind raced. Was this a joke? Clara, the girl I'd secretly admired for her kindness and creativity, asking me out? But Ben's face flashed in my thoughts, my best friend, who had once punched a guy in high school for looking at Clara the wrong way. I couldn't risk our friendship. More than that, I didn't want something superficial. So, I set the pizza down, looked her straight in the eyes, and said, "Love always starts from the heart, Clara. Not from a random question in the living room." She blinked, surprised, then laughed softly. "Wow, deep. Okay, philosopher. Prove it." And just like that, the air between us shifted. But as I lay in bed that night, replaying her words, a nagging doubt crept in. What if this was the start of something real? Or worse, what if Ben found out and it tore us all apart? The next few weeks were a whirlwind of stolen glances and tentative conversations. Clara didn't push. Instead, she started showing up at the coffee shop where I worked, ordering her usual latte with extra foam and lingering at the counter. We'd talk about everything, her latest painting, my coding projects, our shared love for indie bands. I learned she had a soft spot for rescue dogs because her childhood pet had saved her from feeling alone during her parents' rough patch. She opened up about her insecurities as an artist, fearing her work would never measure up. And me? I shared things I'd never told Ben, like how losing my grandfather to cancer made me question if life was too short to play it safe. But Ben was always there, the invisible barrier. He noticed us hanging out more and teased me about it. Dude, you're like a big brother to her now. Careful, man, she's got a crush on every guy who listens to her ramble about art. His words stung, but I laughed it off. Deep down, I knew my feelings for Clara were growing, rooted in those heartfelt talks. One night, after a group hangout, Clara pulled me aside in the backyard under the stars. Alex, about what you said, love starting from the heart. I get it now. These conversations, they mean something. Her hand brushed mine, and my pulse quickened. But just as I leaned in, the back door swung open, Ben calling us in for games. The moment shattered, leaving me wondering, could I really cross this line? As fall turned to winter, our connection deepened. We started going on non-dates. Walks in the park where she'd sketch the snow-covered trees, and I'd tell her stories from my coding mishaps. One particularly cold evening, we ended up at an old bookstore, huddled in the poetry section. Clara read aloud from a book of love poems, her voice soft and melodic. See? Love isn't just fireworks, it's the quiet moments that build a fire inside. I nodded, feeling that fire ignite in me. But then she confessed something that hit like a gut punch. I dated this guy last year, Alex. He was all charm on the surface, but he broke my heart when he cheated. I swore off love unless it was real, from the heart, like you said. Her vulnerability made me want to protect her, but it also scared me. What if I wasn't enough? That night, as we walked home, she slipped her hand into mine. This feels right, she whispered. I squeezed back, but in my mind, a storm brewed. Ben had no idea, and hiding this felt wrong. What if he discovered us like this? The first real challenge came during the holidays. Ben's family invited me for Christmas, as always. The house was decked out with lights and a massive tree, the air filled with cinnamon and laughter. Clara and I exchanged secret smiles across the room, our fingers brushing when no one was looking. But Ben pulled me aside after dinner, his face serious. Hey, man, you've been acting weird around Clara. Is there something I should know? My heart stopped. I stammered, nah, just, friend stuff. He eyed me suspiciously but let it go. Later, Clara and I snuck out to the porch, where she kissed me for the first time, soft, tentative, full of promise. Merry Christmas, Alex, she murmured. But as fireworks lit the sky, I heard footsteps inside. Was Ben watching? The kiss ended abruptly, leaving us both breathless and terrified. Winter break flew by, and back at school, things escalated. Clara and I were officially dating in secret, stealing moments between classes. She'd leave notes in my backpack with drawings of hearts and quotes about love's true beginnings. I surprised her with picnics in hidden spots on campus, where we'd talk for hours about our dreams, her wanting to open an art gallery for underprivileged kids, me aiming to develop apps that help people connect meaningfully. But the secrecy weighed on us. One afternoon, during a heated argument in her dorm, she snapped, Alex, I can't keep lying to Ben. He's my brother, your best friend. This is tearing me apart. Tears welled in her eyes, and I held her, whispering apologies. I know. We'll tell him soon. But deep down, fear gripped me. What if this ended our friendship forever? The breaking point came at a campus party in early spring. Ben had organized it, inviting everyone we knew. Clara and I arrived separately, but as the night wore on, the music pulsing and drinks flowing, we found ourselves dancing together in a crowded room. Her laughter was infectious, her body close to mine. For a moment, the world faded. But then Ben appeared, his face darkening as he saw us. What the hell is this? He bellowed, pulling Clara away. The music seemed to stop, eyes on us. Ben, wait, I started, but he shoved me. You? With my sister? After everything? Clara cried out, stop. We love each other. But Ben stormed off, leaving us in stunned silence. Had I just lost my best friend? The days that followed were agony. Ben ignored my calls, avoided me in classes. Clara was caught in the middle, torn between us. "He'll come around," she said, but her voice trembled. I threw myself into work, coding late into the night, questioning everything. Was love worth this pain? One evening, alone in my apartment, I stared at an old photo of Ben and me from high school, arms around each other, grinning like idiots. Tears blurred my vision. How could I fix this? Clara suggested we give Ben space, but I couldn't. I showed up at his door a week later, heart in my throat. "Ben, please. Hear me out." He let me in reluctantly, his eyes cold. We sat in his room, the tension thick. "Why her, man? Of all people?" he asked, voice cracking. I took a deep breath. It wasn't planned. It started with talks, real ones. About life, dreams, pain. Love from the heart, not just attraction. "She's amazing, Ben. And I swear, I'll never hurt her." He rubbed his temples, silent for what felt like eternity. Then, surprisingly, he sighed. "I always knew she liked you. But you're my brother. If you break her heart..." He trailed off, but extended his hand. "Just, be good to her." Relief flooded me. We hugged, the rift beginning to mend. But as I left, he added, "Prove it, Alex. Actions over words." With Ben's reluctant blessing, Clara and I could finally be open. Spring bloomed around us, mirroring our relationship. We went on real dates. Hiking trails where she'd paint the scenery, me capturing photos of her lost in creation. But challenges didn't vanish. Clara's ex resurfaced, texting her late at night, stirring old doubts. "What if I'm not ready?" she confided one night, curled up on my couch. I held her close. "We're building this together. From the heart, remember? We'll face it." We talked through it, her blocking him, me reassuring her of my commitment. It strengthened us, turning vulnerability into trust. Summer brought new trials. I landed an internship in the city, 2 hours away, while Clara stayed for an art program. Distance tested us, late-night calls, missed visits. One weekend, I drove back unexpectedly, finding her at the shelter with a litter of puppies. "I miss you," she said, burying her face in my neck. But during a video call storm, connection issues led to misunderstandings. "Are you pulling away?" she accused tearfully. My heart ached. "No, Clara. This is hard, but our foundation is solid." We resolved it with a surprise visit, reaffirming our love under a starry sky. As senior year approached, bigger questions loomed. Graduation meant choices, jobs, moves. Clara dreamed of traveling for inspiration, I had offers in tech hubs. What if we drift apart, she worried during a beach trip. Waves crashed as I took her hand. Love starts from the heart, but it grows with effort. We'll make it work. We planned compromises. Her joining me after a gap year, me supporting her art remotely. But fate threw a curveball. Ben, now fully on board, got into a car accident, minor, but scary. Rushing to the hospital, Clara and I held hands in the waiting room. "He's family," she whispered. Seeing Ben bandaged but smiling, joking about my sappy romance, brought us closer. "You two are good together," he admitted. It was a wake-up call, life's fragility made us cherish every moment. Fall returned, our final year. Clara's art show was a hit, my app won a contest. We celebrated with Ben, toasting to futures intertwined. But one night, after a fight over trivial plans, doubts resurfaced. "Is this forever?" Clara asked, eyes searching mine. I paused, then smiled. "From the heart?" "Absolutely. We made up, stronger. Which brings us back to that rainy night. Ben had followed us, not in anger, but concern. I had to see for myself, he said, rain soaking him. If you're proposing, Clara. Alex, you better say yes. Laughter broke the tension. I dropped to one knee, pulling out a ring I'd carried for weeks. Clara, love started from our hearts, and it'll stay there forever. Yes. She slipped it on, tears mixing with rain. Years later, looking back, I realize love isn't a straight path, it's twists, cliffs, resolutions. It demands vulnerability, facing fears, choosing each other daily. To anyone listening, trust your heart, it's where the truest stories begin. If this story touched you, hit that like button and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. Thanks for watching.